So I've actually got an example from my colleague, actually Ash. He was doing some in-field coaching with essentially the CFO of a operations and maintenance business. And they were on site on a plant and having a conversation with the local supervisor there and the plant manager. The plant manager was, reflecting that there's no money for safety. So he and his team there was a belief that there's no money for safety. And they got that belief because when they used the process or the system to request funds, they did it the way they believed was the right way to do it, and it would always say no. Computer says no. Yeah. And so they would get frustrated and give up. And they had this belief that there was no money for safety. When they had that discussion with the finance manager, he was able to say, actually, that's not true. There is a way, there's always money for safety, and let me show you what options are available to you. And when he was able to walk them through the options, it completely changed their view of what's possible. So in that moment, the finance manager is having their ear to the ground, really understanding what's happening on the ground, because he was confused about why people thought there was no money, because he knew there was money. Yeah. And so now he had a better understanding of what the blocker was and what that belief was that was getting in the way. And the local guys started to see finance as an enabler to safety, not a blocker. Not a blocker. Yeah. So the interconnectedness between a local site and finance as a team, as a function, was expanded. The team's view of what's available had been expanded, and therefore what they could achieve from making the site more safe was infinitely more better.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of those examples too when you're out talking to people around just looking beyond my team and beyond my department even. And I think that's probably been the easiest way for me to help leaders understand what interconnectedness is about. Yes. Your team or your department is a part of a process, a part of a system, and it's how you're having those roles and how you're connecting to those. The recent one I've probably had was an example where a department manager was working really well and the team was performing really well in its own performance indicators, and quite rightly they were very excited about how they were performing and how they were going, but some of their KPIs or what they were doing internally obviously has influence over other parts of the stream of work, but it was actually making their downstream work, their upstream work a little bit more difficult and making their job a bit harder. But that was the opening for the leader to understand we were doing well with our commitments, we were curious about how we can improve and how we can move and improve as a team. They actively cared for each other and worked really well, but they were just missing a bit of that. So what does that do to others, and how are we impacting the broader system and the broader process?
Yeah.